All right, welcome to the Circle Home Podcast, the show where we take you from the initial dream to the final walkthrough. I'm Victor Whitfield, your host, and I'm talking to you today about drafting your custom home. I believe that your custom home should be as unique as you are. You don't want one that looks like everybody else's. This is the first podcast in the Circle Home series. In each podcast, we're going to pull back the curtain so you can see a specific part of the process that's used in the building of your custom home. We're going to cover everything from selecting the perfect property to build your house on. We're going to talk about choosing the materials. We're going to talk about getting a good budget for your property and managing that budget. And above all, we're going to talk about choosing a builder team to build that custom home for you. And we're going to do it and show you how to get it done, all without losing your mind. The design process should be a corroborative effort and a creative journey that turns a blank canvas into a custom home. The goal is to align the client's vision with their budget and the project's feasibility. In other words, we want to make sure that you have the money to be able to do what you want to do. In today's podcast, I had a pleasure of welcoming Donald Smith. All right, everybody say hello to Donald. All right, let's give him a hand clap here. He's a draftsman and designer that's based in Shreveport, Louisiana. I've known and worked with Donald for several years. As a matter of fact, he just designed our latest addition to the Circle Homes portfolio, a plan that we call the Dogan. So settle in, grab your popcorn, give a warm welcome to Donald, and let's get started on this. Again, I want to welcome you. And thank you. This is the first one in a series what we're going to do. Podcast. I don't know how we're going to do them. We're looking at probably once every couple of weeks or something like that. Okay. And when I reached out to you and told you, hey man, let's do this and everything, I know a lot of things probably went through your mind. Hey, what's on his mind? And I was thinking about this as I was running through my mind. I come up with a lot of things, and I said, one question that we needed to ask him. If you were going to build a custom home, what would you look for in a draftsman?
Oh man, wow, when it comes to doing that, I'd say the first thing is when you start researching and looking for someone to design your home, when you talk to them, get to know them, ask them questions, make sure that they're knowledgeable about the codes, make sure that they can listen.
Okay.
Because that is very important, because a lot of times if you're telling someone what you want in your home and they're constantly interrupting you, telling you what you need and what you don't need, then to me you have the wrong person.
Okay.
You need someone that can listen to what you want and visualize your dream, because you're giving them your dream. And if you can tell them what you want and they can listen and put that on paper, then you got the right person.
You got the right person. That's a good point that you brought out, because one of the things what happens is I've dealt with people through the years that have come to the job site have come to us, and they have brought a plan that was just totally unrealistic. Mm-hmm. And you ask them, where did you get this? Mm-hmm. And then they say, well, I went over there and he drew what I told him to draw. No, something happened. Somewhere there was a loose connection or something didn't go right. So that's a great point. That is a great point. I wondered about that myself, because the reason I asked that question is because one of the things what I do is when I talk to people about building a home is I tell them, if I were going to build a home, here's the way I would build.
Right.
So I guess the key points of what you said was make sure that they're listening to what you're saying.
Very important.
Okay.
Very, very important.
And what about your vision? How do you think they should go about transferring that person's vision to the canvas?
Well, here's the thing about that, because most people have in their mind what they want.
Okay.
You as a designer, when someone comes to me and says, hey, this is what I want, even if they have a plan or a sketch, I'm already visualizing what they're saying as they're telling me.
Okay.
As they're going through it, most people don't realize, but you think in 3D anyway.
Right.
So as they're telling me what they want, I'm visualizing it in my mind. I'm
Okay.
visualizing what they're saying, from the flooring to the cabinets to the walls to the ceiling to the roof. All this is going through my mind. So with that, as they're telling you, you're visualizing it. And the thing about visualizing is if you can't visualize it, you can't draw it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I 100% agree. And that's the same thing when you get to the point of building the house. If the builder team can't visualize what the house is going to look like once it's completed, they can't build it.
Exactly.
That is a great point. That's a great point. I wanted to go to the next one. I moved to the design build model a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we got the design build model, and then we have the design build model.
Mm-hmm.
What are the benefits of the draftsman and builder team working together from the first beginning with the client to bring the client's vision to pass?
It's seamless because if you're working with your builder and your designer or design drafter, then everything that they can pretty much tell you the problems you're going to have, because you and I, we've done this.
Right.
We've done this for years. So if someone's here telling us what they want, what I'm seeing and what you're seeing, if we're aligning on the same page, then it's going to help that owner, that client, to better visualize their project themselves. Because we can sit up and we can answer questions. I can see a problem with their design or their layout as they're telling me, and you can probably see it too.
Okay.
A lot of times with different layouts, I can tell people, hey, this is not going to work because of this, this, and this.
Okay.
And that just comes from knowing the codes, being able to visualize what you're telling me that you want. And working with myself and you as a builder, then you have that. You have what you need to actually get that project started.
So would you suggest that someone works with a builder during the process or after they've gotten their plan already done?
During the process.
Okay.
Totally. During the process.
That's one of the reasons that I transferred Circle Homes to the design build model, because what it does, a lot of times people, and you probably have experienced this a lot more than I have, where people will come in and they will have this grandiose idea of what they want in a home. I want a 4,000 square foot home, and they want this sunroom, and they want this, and they want that, and then when they get it all, you draw it up because they're like, well, this is what I'm paying you to do. And then you go, and after it's drawn up, then they go to the builder, and all of a sudden the builder tells them, well, that house is going to cost about $1.5 million to build. And they fall on the floor. They, hold it. So that seamless, that's what he was talking about when he said seamless, because it keeps that from happening.
Yeah, it keeps everything in perspective.
It keeps it in perspective, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break and go to the next one. Okay. Okay, another question. What are the benefits to the client having you and the builder work together side by side to develop their custom home plan?
Well, like I said, for one, it works seamless because if you have both of us as a designer and a builder working with the client, then there are questions that client is going to ask. Sometimes I can't answer those questions. Sometimes it's a builder's question. And sometimes a client will ask a question that's a designer question.
That's a designer.
And both of us working with that client, we're able to relate different things to that client that would help him make more sense of the process.
One thing that I've experienced, that's come across in my experience, if a client is willing to allow the builder and the draftsman to work together with them to develop their plan, the biggest thing that I've noticed, two things actually. The first thing is speed to market. They will get their plan done a lot quicker than they would using the process to where they go to you and then they come back and they go back and forth like that, because something that would normally, if they were doing it, say we did a Zoom meeting and we did a Zoom call and they were on the Zoom call for 15, 20 minutes, that could be something that could be cleared up right then, where it may be a week, even 2 weeks, if they got to get it from you, go to the reprographic shop to get it printed off, and then come back and then sit with the builder. Whoa, that's 2 weeks as opposed to 20 minutes.
You're so correct on that, because I've experienced that in client come to me, I do the drawing, do a preliminary, they take that drawing, go to the builder marks it up. Well, now I'm busy on something else, so trying to get that time to get back together with them, and they build it.
Yep. And then once you get back to them, when they get back, get everything done and go back after the markups, they get back to the builder, it may be the same thing on their side. The builder team may have to squeeze them back in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I wanted to bring that out, so let's take a quick break before we go to the next one.
Okay.
What are some of the frequently asked questions that you get that you would like to share with the audience?
First one, how much is this going to cost me to build?
Okay, how much is it going to cost me to build? Now that's a good question. That's a good question, but at the same time, why is that so out of sorts, if you will?
Because just getting started with the design, there's no way I can give you a price on what it's going to cost to build your house. And a lot of factors go into determining that cost. The materials, how you're going to finish it out inside, type of flooring, all those things make a difference. So when you're just getting into that design process, it's impossible to get somebody a cost on how much that house is going to cost.
Okay. Any others that you want to talk about? Frequently asked questions?
Not necessarily a question, but I wish more people understood square footage.
Okay.
Because it makes a difference. A lot of times people don't understand. They'll come to me and say, hey, I want this room, I want this size, I want this room, I want this size, but I want a 1,500 square foot house.
Ooh, okay, I see what you're saying. I see where you're going. I see exactly where you're going.
And a lot of times, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, hey, this is not going to fit in this 1,500 square foot house.
So, no, I don't mean to interrupt you, but in other words, somebody come in and they say, well, I want this room and that size of the garage, 20 by 20, standard garage. And they say, I want this room 15 by 15, I want that room 20 by 20. That's pretty much the 1,500 square feet right there.
Exactly.
That's pretty much the whole 1,500 square feet. Okay.
Exactly. And to give you an example, I met with a couple. They wanted their house to be right at 3,000 square foot. Okay, we want 4 bedrooms, we want 2 bathrooms, we want a 3-car garage.
Okay.
I said, okay. I said, we want a porch and a patio. Yeah, we want a porch and a patio. But then he said, well, on the patio, I want that patio to be a 30 by 30.
Woo! Okay.
I said, 30 by 30 patio? He said, yeah, but I want it enclosed. I said, like a sunroom? He said, yeah, it's going to be for entertainment. And I said, okay. I couldn't explain to him that that wasn't going to fit. So I ended up drawing. I went ahead and drew it. Sometimes you just have to let the customer see for themselves.
Okay.
So I drew it to show them, hey, this is what you have, and this is the square footage.
Okay.
Because then they can see and understand. Because sometimes, even trying to explain to them in that setting, they still don't understand.
Yeah, I remember the quote that Steve Jobs said before he died. He said, people don't know what they want until they see it.
Yep.
And a lot of times people would visualize these spaces that they think are 30 by 30, when in reality, the space that they were actually in is more like 15 by 15.
Exactly.
And that's a great point, that they understood square footage. What about the flow of the house?
Everybody's different when it comes to functionality, when it comes to flow. Everybody's different as far as how they would like the design of their house to be. So with that, where some people want the garage on the left side with the master on the same side, some people want it just the opposite. Garage on one side, the master on the opposite side. So, that's something that we do, when the customer lays that idea to us, then, we lay it out that way.
Okay.
There's not necessarily anything taboo or wrong with as far as flow and design. It's just all about what the customer
What
chooses.
they want. Okay. Do you give them suggestions on what will flow better? One of the things I think first comes to my mind is that if somebody wants to say they entertain a whole lot, and it would be good if they designed a big patio back porch for people to hang out on, and then they had the kitchen and eating bar right there with it. It would be good to have a bathroom or half bath anyway within walking distance that's not going into the interior of the house.
Yeah, correct.
And that's one of the things that I look for when I tell people about when they're designing their house. When they say, well, I entertain about one house I built, it was over in Longview, Texas, years ago, and the couple were big entertainers. They're big entertainers, and they were like, well, we always have people over and stuff like that, and we don't want to traverse them through the house if they have to use the bathroom.
Right.
And once they got it designed, I realized what they were talking about, because they come in, they can go right to the kitchen where the food was at, or where the drinks were at, or what have you, and then they could go to the bathroom and back out to the patio without having to go in the house. And if they were going to it, another thing that you can have is getting to the kitchen and the patio just going through common areas of the house, without having to go through the bedroom area, through restricted areas, for lack of a better term. That's a great point.
Yeah. And even off your garage area, a lot of times, because their garage goes out into the yard, so a lot of times we put a half bath off that garage area, where the laundry area is. And even putting a 3-foot door so you don't have to raise your garage every time you want to go out.
Okay.
So there are different things that you look at in the design process, depending on what your clients like, what they like to do. Now, and there are some taboos with that, because one thing I would never do, I would never design a bathroom right off the kitchen.
Yeah.
So there are different things that you look at and that you will give them advice on as far as what to do and what not to.
Now, when you say right out the kitchen, you mean where the door opens into the kitchen?
Exactly.
Okay, so if it opens into a hallway, that's a little bit different.
Yeah, that's a little bit different. And even having a restroom where it's at your front door.
Yeah.
To me as a designer, I would never do that.
Okay.
But there are some people who, it keeps them from having to walk through the house. I understand that, but me as a designer, I would never put a bathroom right there.
Right there at the front door. We come in the house, go in the bathroom.
Exactly.
Ironically, I lived in a house like that in Detroit. Yeah, I lived in a house like that, but it would come in, it wasn't out by itself. It had a foyer that was kind of like it wasn't even 10 by 10, it was maybe 7 by 7, something like that, a very small space, and it had a secluded door where you went in. And I always wondered, why did they have a door? Literally, why do they have a bathroom literally at the front door? I never figured that out. And I'm with you. I don't want one. If I had it, I don't want one in my house like that either.
Exactly.
I got another question I thought about. What about somebody who has their property as opposed to a person who doesn't have their property?
It's better if you already have the property.
Okay.
Because now we know what your limitations are on your house. We know what the setbacks are from the property lines. So now we know how wide your house can be. Okay. Because that is important when it comes to city codes.
Yes, it is.
Because if you get too close to that property line, they're not going to let you do it.
Okay.
So it is better, in my opinion, for them to already have that property.
If a person comes to you and, Mr. Smith, I know I don't have my property, but I want to design this house anyway.
I'll do it. We'll design it, but with the understanding that when you buy your property, if you need to buy a piece of property that it can fit on, because you have to come back to us, we're going to have to charge you to redesign that house.
Redesign that house. And it might be a total redesign.
Total.
It might be a total redesign, because if you have a house, if you have a house that's a city, what I call a city lot in a subdivision inside of city limits, and one that's opposed to acreage, you might have a house that's 75 feet wide. Right. And a house 75 feet wide, I don't know, I've built in several cities throughout the Southwest, and I don't know of any subdivision that have 75-foot lots. Right. And also, generally the lots are going to run between 50 and 70 feet. So a 75-foot house, I mean, it won't even fit on a lot, let alone hit the setbacks. And so, yeah, I thought about that question because I said, that's one thing that people want to do. Well, I get my property after I get the house designed. Oh, that's kind of a mistake.
Yeah, you kind of putting the cart before the horse.
Cart before the horse, absolutely. We'll do it, and that's one of the reasons why I tell people, go through the design process first, and then find out what you can do. Let's talk just briefly about how the design process mirrors the construction process.
Okay. You know what? It's funny because I tell people, I build it here before you build it out there.
Okay.
Because in building your house and designing it with the software that I use, it gives me all the framing and everything, so I can see conflicts and everything before they get out there and see a conflict, and it stops your construction process.
Stops your construction process. Okay. That dovetail me right into the next one. I say the best for last. Let's talk about the 3D technology.
Oh,
I knew that was a good one. Man, we're both blown away. We're both blown away. I'm going to let him explain it. We're both blown away, though.
Man, the 3D has come such a long way because here's the thing. You give people a plan, most people can't read it. They'll look at a floor plan and say, I don't know what I'm looking at.
Right.
If you take that same floor plan and put it in 3D and put it in a picture,
boom,
there it is. Oh, I see now.
Yeah.
And with that, with the software and everything that I use, I can show you what it's going to look like on the exterior. I can show you interior, kitchen cabinets, paint colors, flooring, you name it. The 3D technology is out now. We'll show it to you and show it to you as if it's a real picture.
Why is that beneficial to the client?
Number one, you get an idea of what you're really asking. Because if you tell me, hey, I want oak cabinets, or I want painted cabinets, I can show you those painted cabinets and you can look and see, hey, well, they don't look as good as I thought.
Yeah. Or that color might not win.
Exactly. So with the flooring, hey, I want gray tile floors. Okay. I can show you that, and you look at it compared to the rest of the room. It may not blend in like you think it is.
Okay.
So it is so important and vital that, hey, the more information you bring me on what you want, then we can show it in that 3D image. And you will know before you even get out there to build it. No, that is not what I want. That's not the look that I want. Or that's perfect.
There you go. And I'll tell you something else I thought about that'll dovetail just on what you just said. It also saves on money.
It does.
It saves on money because if they go to the field with it and it's not the way it should be, that generates a change order.
Yep. Yep, sure does. And most people hate that.
Yeah.
Hey, change order. Sometimes it can't be helped because sometimes things get overlooked.
Yeah, they do.
But with what we use with the technology and the 3D, we can pretty much pick up on any and everything before it gets out to the
Okay. And that also helps because they don't have to wonder what it's going to look like when it gets built.
Exactly.
And one of the things I saw a picture a while back of it talked about builder teams, and it showed a small little dinghy boat, a little dinghy, and then it showed a big yacht, and the dinghy boat was named Contract, and the yacht was named Change Order. So let me explain for our audience here what that said. The dinghy being contract, that means that, hey, the contract was it wasn't blown out. And not to say that the change orders are going to be blown out, But where the difference comes in that you experience a whole lot more with change orders than you do with contract prices, for the simple reason, once you get to the field, it's a lot harder to build it or to straighten it out than it would have been if it were just done on
paper.
On paper, absolutely.
It's easier to straighten it out on paper. It's something that may not take 10 minutes.
On paper.
Straighten it out on paper, then get out there in the field, and it's going to take you 2 weeks to straighten it out.
And thousands of dollars.
Yep.
I was telling some people a while back that in the construction industry, when somebody comes up and you get a hiccup, oops, back before the crash of 2008, 2009, oops, or a hiccup, if you will, would cost between $500 to $1,500 straight down. Nowadays, post-crash, oops or a hiccup runs about $5,000 to $15,000. So that's one of those things that you have that you go, oh my goodness. All right. Do you have anything else you can think of before we wrap up here?
Man, it was just a pleasure just to be here. I know this is the first one of many. And,
this first of many.
Look forward to getting out much more information on design build.
All right. Well, I thank you for being here, and I want to plug us up here. I'm writing a book, How to Build Your Custom Home the Right Way. It's about 85 to 90% complete. Today we're sitting here. We're actually in Shreveport, Louisiana, and we're sitting here, and the day is February 21st, 2026. And I look for that book to be on the shelves somewhere between August and September. I'm gonna send you some forward copies to give to some of your customers and everything to where they can look at. But in the book, I'm going to touch on a lot of what we talked about in this podcast today. And so I want to put everybody on notice for that. If this podcast has helped you, smash that like button, subscribe for more podcasts to come your way. Join our community and never miss another podcast. I'm Victor Whitfield, President and CEO of Circle Homes, your custom home builder who believes in the design build process. And with me today I've had
Donald Smith.
Tell them how to contact you. Give me your contact information.
Contact information, phone number is 318-402-6550. Email is tmdraftingdesign@gmail.com.
All right. And with that, we're going to sign off until next time.